second race weekend of the BMW IBSF Women's Monobob World Series. We're at a snowy Innsbruck in Austria, and after a sunny race weekend last week, we have weather here today. Hello everybody, welcome back to Eagles. Martin Haven and John Morgan ready to watch our top 20, scratch that, top 21 sleds going in the second heat. John, we had a very interesting leaderboard and some of the familiar faces we come to expect at the top of it.
Yeah, Christina De Bruin, she had the 10th best start time, but the best speeds on the bottom part of the track, and the fitness consultant from Calgary, she's in a bronze medal position. But here's a surprise of the day, Brianna Walker from Melbourne, Australia. She did pretty good in the Monobob competitions last winter, but at the World Championships did not get a medal, and last week not so well, but today, third best start time. She's a second place silver medal, and they're chasing down the athlete who won this competition last week, Alana Myers-Taylor. Second best start, only 100th off the best start, and lost some speed on the bottom part of the track, but she had such a huge lead up top that Alana took it to the bank, and she's the leader. But more, it's another exciting competition, Martin. Just look at these times.
Yeah, it's all close for the lead group, but also, look down, top six could take a medal, I would think, pretty easily. And then from 8th on down, 300s from Carleen Sleper to Melanie Hassler. Another couple of hundreds back is 10th place. Another couple of hundreds back, 11th place. Then Angia Grecu leads another little clump of athletes. And then Misha McNeil as well, 8/10ths back, but with everybody else ganging up behind her. 6 sleds covered by 1/10 of a second. And that dead heat for 20th means that Ying Qing and Katie Bile both make it through into the top 20. So 21 sleds, which means we'll have to hurry up a little bit to get all our sleds through, and we will be sweeping the track after every third sled. So this is the area right behind the start, the bits that you don't normally see on camera. There's the high-tech solution to warming up, a slushy car park. 'Twas ever thus, John Morgan, I think, probably. Car parks haven't got much better or much warmer since you were a competitor.
Well, I don't think we warmed up like these people do now, you know?
Did you warming up the night before? Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, let's take a look at our start draw. 21 sleds, Katie Bile and Qing Ying were inseparable, so they both get through. Then Ashley Werner from Australia, Anastasia Makarova, Misha McNeil, Margot Bock, Wai Ming of China. Both Chinese athletes got through, both Aussie athletes got through. Lubov Chernik, the Olympic champion Mariamia Manka, just outside the top 10 as she was in last week's race. And then we get probably to Lara Nolter up to Alana Myers-Taylor. It's that half dozen that are going to decide the athletes. Race 2 of the BMW IBSF Women's Monobob World Series. We're in Innsbruck in Austria, and the local heroine, Katie Bile, tied for 20th place after the first of our 2 heats, gets us back underway. Martin Haven and John Morgan watching the action with you.
Doesn't seem like she's got some good mojo here. She is on her home track. And Martin, she won the World Cup title in women's bobsled last year and started off the season so far on her home track with pretty less than average performances. So maybe she can find some kind of a good run here to turn things around. She should not be in 20th place, Martin.
No, really on her home ice, even in a relatively unknown machine like these monobobs. Little late off 9, tap into 10.
14th place in the women's event last week in the 2-man, and you know, she's just not doing it.
She was 14th place in the race for Monobob as well, and so down in 20th there is Wolfgang Stamford. Good to see him back. He had a crash here a couple of weeks ago. His helmet came off and he suffered some facial injuries, but he is back and Martin, coaching. So
I think she went 46-41, so I think she went 700ths faster there. She could do 48.
Yeah.
She did 48, 700 slower, so not a bad line into 8. maybe a fraction early.
Yeah.
But again, she won the World Cup title last year. Look, she's the only person that hops on and goes backwards like
Delivers
that.
her own sled to the team. I like that. Yeah. Well, next up, Yingqing of China. Same start time, 6:09 as Cathy Bile. Same finish time, 56:41. Obviously, therefore, she will now do a 56:48 and the tie will not be broken. Well, the chances of that are slender, but this is Innsbruck and ties happen all the time. So she walks up through the sled, got her foot caught in the first load. She's in 6:04.
Well, best speed, best start, tied. She's got to do something here. She didn't make the cut last week, so this is definitely an improvement, Martin, and that's all you want to do. Come out every week and, you know, put down personal bests, target certain athletes. You know, you come out here saying, I've never beat that person before, I beat him today, then you've had an improvement.
Didn't race in Europe last year. You're absolutely right. Didn't make the cut.
Could have beat her by a lot. 2,500 or so.
Well, now that brings her into moving up in the leaders box, 56:27. So they were 100th behind Ashley Werner, 200s behind Anastasia Makarova, 10th behind Misha McNeil. That could see a move up 2 or 3 more spots. And you're right, 24th last week, should be no worse than 20th this week.
19th.
Well, there's 21 sleds, so still 18 to go. Still 19, right. Still 19 to go, yeah.
I stand corrected. Look at the exit of 9, not perfect. But that's why she's back at 21st place. She's still learning. There's your D-rings.
Yeah, and there's the little seat back. It's not even, it doesn't even have a seat base. It's just a brace to push yourself against. Your feet go either side of the D-rings in the edges of the cowl. There are footrests.
Let's go.
So this is Ashley Werner of Australia, former brakewoman. Didn't compete in the World Series last year, so brand new to Monobob. Has raced for 2 years now in women's bobsleigh as she learns her trade. 19th place last week, 19th place after the first heat.
Yeah, the start time 6:12, 300 slower. She doesn't have the best start of the 4 sleds or 2 sleds. A little sloppy up the top of the track, if I remember, Martin. Clean there. She made the mistake in the first run. Skid there. 2/10 back, second best speed. Perfect lines to give her a chance. Otherwise, Ying from China will stay a leader. Ooh, not good there. Look at this, different. It's gonna be late here, bumped. Yeah, she made a mistake up there that really cost her. Now she's gonna drop at least 2 spots, Martin. Probably 2 spots she's gonna drop.
Yeah.
So Ying from China has improved. Pete Spence can only look on of what was a very rough ride.
Not
rough
quite
ride, sometimes they're fast.
Yeah.
Not that
Not quite as worrying in the lower labyrinth as the first heat.
Watch her jump in. Everybody's got a different technique. She settles in, the 2 hands come up. Supposed to be in cohesion, that wasn't. There's some side-to-side movement there, which rocks you back and forth in those little start grooves, and that slows things down. Look at the runner tips here. Not bad. No, she's got a back end skid going, so. And then she hits over here on the take on. She's real sideways. And then look at her steer here. She's, 2 feet below where she should be, and then high on the outlet. She gets out of there and she hits.
There's a bit of ice sticking out of the wall on the left-hand side going into 10. And it's sticking out 3 or 4 inches, and there's been a few people have hit it. So sweeping now before our next sled. This is Anastasia Makarova of Russia. We've seen a few people just clip that. You know, they're breezing along by the wall, no dramas, not going to hit it, and then there's a lump that sticks out that just pings you sideways into 10. Race 2 of the Women's Monobob World Series in Innsbruck. 3 sleds down and 18 to go in our top 20. 21 sleds made it through from the first heat of 2. Anastasia Makarova in the blocks. Martin Haven and John Morgan on the mics. 23-year-old Russian. She was 13th last week, John, only 18th after the first heat, and only the 17th best start. She just basically bends her hips and pushes the sled. No real body movement there at all. Yeah,
she's a 200-meter sprinter from Moscow, track and field athlete, and Martin just started, she's not getting the starts yet, and that's why she's back in this position.
I think there may be a little bit of training going on for the monobob start. It's very different from the way the drivers normally start on the front push handle.
Yeah, there's some people using the old breakneck dip in, dip, and launch out, and then you see Alana Myers, our leader. We'll watch her with 1 foot in the block. She does a different technique.
Well, even her own teammates. Yeah, her own teammates have very different techniques, leaning right back and then hurling themselves forward.
Yeah.
Makarova in the red. Yeah.
Miss Yin from China has picked off 3 more.
Well, Jing Ying was leaving the box earlier, and I thought, okay, she's not used to being in the leader's box. She's only done 1 year of World Cup with TV cameras, but of course, actually she was going for a jacket because, John, it's not warm out. It's a little snowy, but it is actually pretty brisk this morning in Innsbruck.
Look at the feet, you know, those 1/16 of an inch spikes. That gives you the chance to run. Now, what about her technique in? Both arms together. Well, we'll give her some awesome style points there, Martin. That's one of the cleanest entries into the sled.
It's high risk, high reward, though. If you get it right, you kind of hurtle into the sled. If you get it wrong, and it's a fairly small margin of error, then, yeah. Next up, Misha McNeil of Great Britain. 1/10 of a second in hand over Ying Qing of China. On the right-hand side in the cap, Coach Lee Johnson.
Ying started better than McNeil. McNeil a little bit better in this run, and with her experience, Martin, you know, she should be our, but she's given up 1200s at the start. So she needs total perfect lines, no mistakes.
She's done quite a lot of monobob racing, both in these articulated sleds and before last season, I did a few post-season trips in the old plank sleds as well. This is her 7th race in the World Series.
This is...
Best result was 5th place here.
I don't see her catching Ying, especially with that speed.
No.
Third best
speed.
But she's falling back. 15th, she's going to fall. No, she should still stay in second.
Yeah,
Ying's
just
going
ahead
to
of
pick up somebody else.
Yeah.
She does. Look at that. Look at the Chinese are pretty surprised. I don't think Lee Johnston's very happy.
No.
First time that the British have ever been beaten by the Chinese in women's monobob. But there's a first time for everything.
Yes, there is. And it's entirely possible in a couple of sleds' time we're going to have an all-Chinese battle for the lead.
Well, snuck down 8. Runner tips. Ooh, she's hard steering there to get off of 9, and the back end flops. That causes the skid, and now...
Well, the smaller and lighter the athlete, the harder it is to get the sled to behave as you want it to. Margot Bock of France, 16th after the first run, off the 16th best start. She was 17th last week. Only did 2 races in monobob last season, so this is her 4th outing.
Well, 606, not bad. But 606 she had in the first run. You know, 20 hundredths, Martin, but 20 hundredths can get thrown away. with a bad exit or a little tap here can hurt you. She's clean. She kept the 20/100th lead. She's got the best speed. This looked like a potential winning or, you know, being the leader at the bottom.
Yeah.
These are good lines. These are
well, she had a good, clean first run as well. And she is going to oust Ying from the leader's box.
Talk about doing your personal
of
best.
France. Yeah, there you go. 100th quicker than her first heat.
She finished 17th last week, Martin. And what have we got going on now?
Whoa.
She's going to 1, 2, 3, 4. So she's improved. She's down. She's good, no worse than 15th. So there's that personal best improvement.
Mm-hmm.
And she could move up more. This is a clean run. Everything she did here was good lines. 8. A little bit to the right side, but she got over in the take-on her terms. Here a little low. Let's see if there's any air. No. And then into the last 2 labyrinths. Looks like she's a lot in control, Martin. She's the leader.
And like almost everybody in the field, she'll be racing in the women's bob tomorrow morning as well. So double duty now all the way through this season. Monobob leads from Qingying of China and Misha McNeil of Great Britain. Track being swept again, every third sled. The track is swept, so the fallen snow in the track is swept away, and they get the snow blowers out at the start. Well, Yingqing of China has just been eased out of the leader's box. Now is the chance of her teammate Wai Mingming to take over. 15th after the first of our 2 heats. China's Wai Mingming, 15th place after the first heat here in Innsbruck in Austria. Last week she was 20th place. So looking to improve on that and take the lead from Frenchwoman Monobob.
In her biography that she's provided us, she's a sprinter. And there's decent starts, Martin. So Pierre Luder's gone out and recruited some of these athletes from track and field. And we all know how valuable the start is. 2300's lead, that's a lot of time.
Yep.
There's a mistake that could eliminate some of that advantage.
Didn't race outside China at all last season, so didn't partake in any of the Monobob World Series races. I'm not sure whether they had these articulated sleds in China last year. It may well be that the Chinese...
She's the leader here, no doubt, Martin. Yeah. This is a good performance. Big improvement for her over 1 week to the next.
Yeah.
56.07.
Well, yelling her off at the top. We also saw the Swiss father and son team who have been so successful with nations like Korea in helping them set up their sleds. And they're now working with the Chinese. And if the Chinese didn't have these sleds last year in Beijing, and I think they may well not have done, then they are really having to learn fast. They've only had them then for a few weeks here in Europe.
Well, her teammate improved 4 places, you know, and this one here, top 13, so she went from 20th to a 13th finish, you know, that's pretty good.
And Wai Mingming, if she'd done a 56.07 that she's just done now in the first heat, would have been 12th, not 15th. So they are very, very small margins. Lubov-Chernik of Russia, 0.03 of a second quicker than the Chinese slider in the first of the 2 heats. Now, think of what Anastasia Makarova did, basically just pushed and ran. Lubov-Chernik, like the great women, dives forward into the sled. Oh, gets her hand caught, the left hand.
16th in last week's race, so she's on pace to improve that.
Yeah, she didn't do a single World Series race last year, John. The only Monobob race that we saw her in was in the World Championships in Altenburg. She finished in 17th, so she's definitely still on the learning curve here.
on the lines now to fall back at least one, maybe two, fall back behind.
Yeah, behind Margot Bock in France. Yeah, 1600s. Margot Bock is 1900s back at the line.
You could fall.
She's already down. Yeah, to third place. Oh, and hits the wall as well. So Wai Ming Ming stays in the leader's box, and Margot Bock moves up a spot as Lubov Chernik drops 2.
So Martin, is it Wai Ming Ming or is it Ming Ming Wai?
Traditionally, they say the family name before the Christian name. So although we write them in the West as her Christian name is Ming Ming and her family name is Wai, they would normally say it's the other way around. And in Korean, the same.
Watch the hands here.
Yeah.
She got stuck.
Ow,
look
ow,
at that.
Ow, ow, ow. We've all done that with a door handle. Ow.
Oh.
And you see, well, why did she not let go?
Too.
Well, yeah. Oh, yeah.
See if how's your shoulder?
She looks okay.
Separated pop mine.
Yeah, you're not 23, John. Mariama, 32. Mariama Yamanka of Germany then, the Olympic champion in women's bobsleigh, in 13th position. And John, she may not like these sleds, but she is certainly putting in the hard yards. 8th in the first race in Innsbruck, 9th in the second. She did 5 World Cup races last year, i.e. all of them. But she's still not really unlocked the secret of getting the best out of these sleds. She was 11th last week, 13th in the first heat.
But Martin, at that little event they had over in Yangqing on the Olympic track, guess who got first? This one right here, Mariana Yamanka. So as much as we say she hasn't embraced it yet, she did pretty good out of the box there a month ago.
Well, in which case, whatever she does here in Innsbruck really doesn't matter that much, other than learning more.
Yeah. In the back of the pack, and she's on the verge of falling back.
Oh, by 3/10.
Look at the Chinese move up the leaderboard. Yamanka falls 4 spots.
Yeah, so she is behind Margot Bock and Lubov Chernik, and only just ahead of Yingqing. And she was 32 hundredths ahead of Yingqing after the first heat.
And she was 4th last year at the World Championships too, so it's almost like she's sleeping. Okay, I'm just gonna hang out, get my time. Ooh, that mistake there, and then, turn it on in mid-January and peak in February. Maybe that's the case. That's what the German women's skeleton athletes are doing, in my opinion. Look at these.
Well, they may well, like everybody else, be testing equipment, trying different runners, trying to find new answers for the same old questions. And in the end, like the great loser Georg Hackel, it doesn't really matter what happens in the World Cup. You've got to show up for the World Championships and the Olympics, because those are the ones that really matter. Which is not to diss anybody who wins World Cup races, because that's just, again, an indicator of your ability. But this season, above all, is all about being ready in February. Angia Grecu, team of 1, doing her own spikes. Paul Niagu, the coach, will be at the front, stopping the sled running off down the hill on its own.
Well, she was 15th last week, Martin. And so this is a big move up the leaderboard.
Yeah, Angia Grecu was a little off pace last week. She was 6th and 8th in the 2 races here. She did 6 races last year. She also did a non-World Cup qualifying race, and she ended up finishing in 4th overall in the points, and was 11th in the World Championships. So Grecu has got the ability. She's not got a bad start either.
Tall, probably the tallest female athlete in the competition, and track and field background, and 11th at that event they had over in Yangqing, China.
Kind of surprised to see her sitting so far forward. It's how she drives a 2-seat sled, but she could probably do with balancing her weight a little further back. I'm sure we're going to see, as the season progresses, more and more athletes moving back in the sled to get better balance.
8th best speed. She's not going to do it either. She's going to fall back. The Chinese athlete Ming is going to take over another spot.
Yeah, she
She's
sure is.
going to fall 2 spots,
Couple
but still
back.
that gives
So
her a better finish.
Yeah, Margot Bock is riding on the coattails of Wai Ming Ming. They have both moved up ahead of Lubov Chernik, Mariama Yamanka, and Andrea Grecu. So, yeah,
Grecu's
Margot
still
Bock, where was
last...
she? Yeah, no, well, yeah, 15th place that'll be. Or
yeah, Bock was
14th.
17th last week. She's moved up. Greco was 15th,
yeah.
So both those athletes advanced. But the biggest advancer is Wai from China.
Yeah.
This is too late. This is too late here on curve 9.
It's pretty much the same as in the first heat. She comes off square, but still has that hit. So Andrea Greco drops a couple of spots. Next up, Germany's Kim Kalicki, 11th after the first heat, off the 12th fastest start. Walks up through the sled.
Kalicki was 10th over there in Yangqing, China. She's from Viesturs, policewoman, track and field athlete. And just doesn't seem to have been doing it. Stinks in the World Championship last year. She's going to fall behind too unless she finds that Austrian shortcut down there.
Only 3rd best speed and a mistake out of 9.
She's got the best speed
now.
There's the best speed now, so she should be bringing it back. She's going to run out of track, Martin. It's going to be single digits, but I think the Chinese are going to still be atop the leaderboard.
Yep.
Yep.
Absolutely right. Well, great to see Wai Ming Ming having some time in the leaders box. Quite a lot of time in the leaders box at the moment.
Martin,
she's gone by.
You would have bet me before the race started that Wai Ming Ming would beat 2 German sleds. I would have put a lot of money on that. She's just beat off the Olympic champion, and she beat off Kalicki.
I think a wise man probably never bets on races in Innsbruck unless he's got money on Francesco Friedrich. Then he's in on pretty short odds.
There's some bets I could secure. There you go.
Well, look at that. Wai Ming Ming leads with 10 to go from Kim Kalicki and Margot Bock. And we go straight into our next sled. So 10th after the first heat, Canada's Melissa Lottholtz, another former brakewoman. Super successful she was with Kaylee Humphries. And Melissa converted to driving a couple of seasons ago, finishing 5th place last week. She was 7th in the worlds as well in the Monobob, and she just gets in so gently.
Cat-like movement, Martin. Maybe like to be described, entering a bobsled, and she did that well. She made a big mistake up here, though. In the exit of 6 out of these. There's 2, 3, 4. Right coming up right here. She made a big mistake there in the first one. In fact, it was right here.
Got kicked out sideways by the bump between 9 and 10 on the wall. Good speed, good lines. Here we go. She's moving up. Hang on a minute.
100 behind.
Well, she should have a better bottom. Yeah.
Not good there.
Is this the snow in the track just starting to slow things down a little? Wai Ming Ming is going to get a top 10 finish out of this just.
That's a history.
56. Yeah.
First time ever the Chinese have been in the top 10 in women's bobsleigh, mono or 2-person.
Yeah.
That's going to give them some fuel for the fire.
And what happened yesterday, John, in the very first race of the weekend? A 3-way tie for gold in the men's skeleton, including Gung Wenchang of China, the first ever medal, never mind, second medal, but the first win for China in an ice sliding sport. Look at her low return, Yeah,
you know, Lolo Jones does that too, but I wonder if Melissa's a hurdler like Lolo, because that was different here.
Yeah.
Exit of 10 into the labyrinth, that tap doesn't help. Not a good day for her compared to last week.
Not so much. Well, you have good days, you have bad days. Y is having a good day today. They're obviously going to have to work a little on their TikToking skills, because in the leaders box, if you're going to spend some time there, you need to be entertaining. You need to be entertaining the audience. Melanie Hassler waiting patiently at the line.
Yeah,
the snow blower's going.
Track maintenance.
Well, Melanie's got a good history in these monobobs. 4th in the first World Cup race here. She did 4 races last year, finished 10th in the Worlds. She was 8th last week, and 300s out of 8th in the first heat. She's got a good start as well, John Morgan.
Sure,
that is never a hindrance.
She was 2nd in the pre-Olympic event in Yancheng, so that was her best result ever. And did pretty good in last week, you know, so she's just coming on, Martin. She's young.
Yep.
This is exactly what the Swiss needed. The other Swiss sled did not even qualify in the top 20.
100th in the lead.
Maria Fontaneva did not make the cut. And now, Hassler, she's clinging on to 100.
Still 100. Oh, big skid. Yeah, that would cost you a 10. Little tap there as well.
No, still got the 100.
Still 100.
Okay. Martin, maybe a tie.
Okay, dead heat.
Maybe a tie.
That would be fun. No. Okay, so Wai Ming Ming, nevertheless, gets her first top 10 results in monobob.
Congratulations to that young Chinese athlete.
Well, big day for both Chinese athletes, because Ying Qing also moved up 4 spots. So, no, 5 spots. She was tied for 20th.
Yeah, she didn't make the cut last week. So this time she's in the top 15. Melanie, wasn't a perfect ride, real high, had to steer down on the exit of 9. Little bang, little skid. This is where we were surprised. She kept her lead, Martin. That's a pretty, not the way to do it.
Well, her driver coach is Rico Peder, so hitting stuff is probably allowed. Next up for the Netherlands, Carlien Slepper. 8th place after the first heat, 0.03 of a second in hand over our current leader, Melanie Hassler.
Another former brakeman.
Great loading technique as well from the Dutch woman. 6.06, 6.02 in the first heat, so giving away a little bit at the start.
Yeah, she needs to be perfect. This is her sport background. She's a javelin thrower. She's got 100's lead. No mistake here. There it is. Not the mistake going to cost her 5th best speed. But Martin, she's doing pretty good in the season. Right here in this run. I don't know. That's late, and that's a hard hit, and a skid. 6th best speed. She got to watch out. She could drop 3 places here. Oh, but she's only 200s back there.
200s
That's a
back.
good sign.
She's been 100th back, 100th up, 100th back, 100th up at the line. 300ths of a second. Melanie Hassler moves up. Now then, so Melanie Hassler guaranteed a top 8. Carlien Slepper, what did she get last week? Was it a top 8?
Hold on.
No, she got a 10th.
10th.
If she gets, if somebody drops 2 spots and Carlien gets a top 8, that is the Dutch NOS Olympic qualifying standard. And the way that Melanie Hassler just punched the air, I'm suggesting top 8 has a very big Swiss significance as well.
Well, Karen did well. The biggest mistake she made was up there above the Kreisel, curve 6.7. This skid didn't help. Lost by 300s. You could see it was right there.
Yeah, she went from 300s up to 300s back. Next up is Nadezhda Sergeva of Russia, 4th fastest starter. She doesn't look like a real powerhouse, but watch the technique. She started life as a brake woman, very early converted to driving. Well, she didn't rock back the way she did in the first start, but her first getaway, a 5.90.
Really good entry into the sled.
Yeah.
400 slower, though. Still maintains the best velocity. Really like the way she got in the sled, Martin. That's what gave her the best velocity also.
She's got good technique and great speed, and look at that, 26 hundredths of a second is the lead. She was 2/10 ahead of Melanie Hassler from the first heat.
Well, Martin, with her experience, she's looking at the sled coming down behind her. It's 2,100 lead. Ooh, big skid on the back runner there. Big. Ooh, she's late there, too.
Block.
She's
Still
losing time.
14 hundredths up, but she's losing a lot of ground. She will stay ahead of Melanie Hassler.
2,500 hundredths at the top of the track, and with 7 at the bottom.
Wow.
But she maintains her position. That's not good for
Ducks ahead.
So we're being told, Martin, top 8 at the Olympics. I don't know if it's for the Dutch sled or the Swiss sled. So Melanie Hassler might be a qualification.
Well, great looking load for Nadezhda Sergeva.
Good entry, quiet into that sled. This wasn't good. Watch the back, the runners there. You see the spray coming up off the runners. Those back runners cut in like that. That's a lot of friction. And here, this is just late out of 10.
Yeah.
Didn't cause too much stress because she came straight.
It was ugly though, wasn't it? It was ugly. But
ugly.
She is the leader with 6 to go. Hey, win ugly, win pretty, doesn't matter.
Yep.
It's still the win.
Just win, baby.
Yeah, it doesn't give her much meat on the bone, does it, when the last 6 sleds are coming down? She was 5 hundredths behind the top 6. And that's possibly enough to take her out of even mathematical medal contention. 6 sleds remain. Race 2 of the Women's Monobob World Series here in Innsbruck. First up, 6 after the first heat, 29 hundredths off the lead. Young German Lara Nolte.
Yeah, she's 5.97. She's improved her start by 3 hundredths. She's got her eyes on the next 3 sleds. She's got a chance to get into the medals, Martin, but she's got to post a great time, get in that leader's box, and then say, catch me if you can. She's in a dead heat right now with Sergeva from Russia. I'll put my money on this German sled right here. There she goes. This is what she does. Good speed.
Look how far back in the sled she's sitting. That's to move the athlete's weight closer to the rear axle, almost sort of in the middle of where 2 athletes would normally be sitting.
Boy, Martin, 3/10 up.
Yeah. She's looking for a medal here, John. She's going hunting. Whoa! And raffles the sled off the finish wall.
Still, that's the fastest run of the heat. That was...
Well, it is of the heat.
Just a few hundredths ahead.
Not as quick as her first heat, but don't forget, Sergeva gave away a 1/4 of a second in that second run. So Lara Nolte pretty much within 500s, putting down the same run as in heat 1, but again, it was a bit wild.
Well, look at the runner tips. Looks like she's not steering there. Barely. A little bit of a tap. She could take that because she stayed straight. Boy, she went from even there to 2,500 hundredths at the exit into the S's.
Well, that's where Sergeva lost all the time, isn't it? Coming out of 9 and then sideways and backwards. And Lara Nolte is the leader. Next up is Kaylee Humphries, 5 to go. 2-time Olympic women's bobsleigh champion, and John, she could easily take a medal here.
94 in the first run. Oh, 6:03. Wow. Wow, that's 9 hundredths off her start. Something wrong there.
Yeah.
This This is a lady athlete who's very consistent. She had some inconsistencies in the two-woman event last week. Her start time from one heat to the other was 500ths difference. In the second heat, she ended up losing a medal by 100th of a second. Best speed, 1400ths down. The German sled just came down, flew. So Kaylee's gonna have all she can do to catch Knowlton at the bottom.
I don't think she's gonna get there. Second best speed. She was the silver medalist last week. She's our world champion in women's monobob and very loose down into the labyrinth. She won't drop more than one spot.
The whole thing,
Laura Nolte,
the start, she had a better start than Laura in the first heat, and Laura had a better start than her in the second heat by 600. That's
a 1200ths of a second turnaround regarding her start alone compared to Laura Nolte. She started 600ths quicker in the first heat, 600 slower in the second.
Don't know what happened. Let's check it out. Maybe got in too early. Look at this. You don't see any variance in the sled. Or
well, they also tend not to tell you if they're struggling with a little bit of a niggle. I mean, she looked fairly smooth in action. I'm loving the new goggles, by the way.
But 900 slower at the start is not what this two-time Olympic champion does.
Doesn't often do that, that's for sure. Again, maybe it's just the timing of the hit. Let's take a look at Cynthia Appia now, the fastest starter in the field with a 5:82. Her own start record is a 5:76 here. I don't think we're going to get to that mark that she set in January this year. Now, can she finish in the medals? She was 4th last week. She's 4th after the first heat.
87 the first run, or the 82 in the first run, 87 there. She's from Toronto, another hammer thrower. Martin, she worked for the Blue Jays, and on her bio, she lost her job because of COVID. So here she is in a bobsled.
Well, she was going to be in a bobsled anyway, but yeah, as we all know, over the last 24 months, particularly indoor sports and any gatherings, all came to a shuddering halt.
She
Top speed
got third in that event over in China, Martin, a month ago. So she's got talent. Making the mistakes there. She's going to be late here. Another bump.
Yeah, this is cleaner than her first heat. Tying with Kaylee Humphries.
Not going to do it.
Has she got enough at the line? No, 1300s back. So Laura Nolte, one away from the medals.
And Humphries is 100th back of Appia.
Yep. Former teammates.
Appia made some driving years, but Martin, no one's got the lesser trips in a bobsled, two-woman sled or this monobob than this athlete here. They've rushed her to where she is now, and boy, she is coming on with her athletic skills in the first 50 meters. And again, she got third over there in Yangqing at the pre-Olympic event a month ago. Look at the difference in speed. 2 kilometers. That's, when you're dealing with hundreds of seconds, 2 kilometers. It's like 6 cylinders compared to 8 cylinders.
And they're all in sleds from the same manufacturer as well. So it's not a sled deal. It's how you set it up, how you drive it. You sort of having a big skid there in turn 10. So 3 to go. There's your race leader, Laura Nolte. You can spot her by her bright pink bobsleigh truck. You can see her from space without the use of any telescope, I would think. 3 to go. Christine de Bruin of the Netherlands next up. She'd say de Bruin, her husband would say de Bruin. You say potato. 10th fastest start, 3rd at the bottom. And
snow coming down now.
Yeah. Well, that's
if I were her, I'd go pretty quick.
Yeah. Going to be a quick off here for her. She's got a 1200ths of a second lead over Laura Nolte. She needs a good, clean run here. Started 5:99 in the first heat.
6:05, 6:06. Everybody's a little slower up there. Martin, she had the best speed on the track of anybody. So that's where she's living, with her eyes and hands, not her start. but she can't make a mistake. She's 700s down. That'll probably stop. 700s to 700. The way she's been driving. 1000, she lost 3 more. This is where she made her 3rd place in the first heat on the bottom part of the track.
Lauren Olter's going to take a medal here. From here on down, she needs better speed. Nolter was quickest of all at the bottom, though.
Not going to do it. She's going to fall back maybe behind her teammate.
Could be. Cynthia Appiah is 1800s back. Humphries 1900s back. She stays ahead of them, but Lauren Olter is in the medals. Leaps up and down.
She's not through yet.
Lauren Olter.
Remember, we talked about Nolter out of nowhere as 2500s lead, you know, from 500s at the Kreisel. She flew on the bottom. Christine, you know, another good finish for her, Martin. She's right up there on the top of the leaderboard with the standings.
Well, she'll be no worse than 4th. She may still take a medal.
Yeah, she was 3rd last week.
Well, Lauren Olter was 3rd last week. Yeah, she was
7th. She was 7th.
Yeah, 7th. So that's an improvement for sure.
She's been 3rd in consecutive 2 women's competitions.
Thanks, guys.
Lauren Olter has now done 4 monobob races. She's had 2 silvers and 2 bronzes already, and a 3rd in the World Championships. Now, Brianna Walker, a real star in the monobob here, particularly last year. 2 wins in the World Cup races here last season. She finished 2nd overall. She starts well, she drives well. Last week was out of the ordinary. She only finished in 6th.
400-meter hurdler from Melbourne. And favorite athlete, Kathy Freeman.
Yeah. Well, she hasn't been home for over 18 months. She spent the last 2 summers with Christian Hammers and Christoph Harper's bobsleigh team training up near Oberhof.
Martin, this is a big heat. She's won one of these events, but it wasn't in a full field. Here,
yeah, she won 2 though. She won 2 of the World Cup races here.
Yeah,
but she's gone behind. 200s. Ducks ahead on the straightaway to try and find those hundreds at the line. 1400s back. Same time exactly as Christine de Bruin. She's in the medals. Lauren Olter will take at least a silver now. Lauren Olter has not won a monobob race. Bree Walker has won 2, but she's happy with that. In the medals.
This is significant right here. This is where there was a full field. She's won the other events. The fields weren't full like this. Couple of mistakes down here, Martin, but a bronze medal, big deal for this athlete.
Last year they had all the Germans in them. They had Kaylee in them. They had Alana in them. So it wasn't lightweight.
No, but she wasn't beating those athletes. Her
was.
victory didn't come in a full field.
Yeah. No, they were in World Cup races here in Innsbruck. Final slider then is last week's winner, Alana Myers-Taylor. 4 races last year, 2 second places were her best results. Only 15th in Altenburg in the World Championships. But she won here last week rather. Let's see if she can do it again. Her advantage over Lauren Olter, who's the current leader, 2900ths of a second.
And it's 3500s now because of that superior start. But look at something wrong there. 15th best velocity? That couldn't have been right. With the second best start, that clock confusing. But she's down to 27, so she lost 800ths in the first 100 meters. Only 200, still 4th best speed. She needs to be clean.
Now,
this is
1900s.
lap.
How many meters of ice versus how many tenths of a second left? Still 4th best speed. Lauren Olter quick at the bottom.
Gonna get close.
Who's going to win this? Alana Myers-Taylor for a second gold, or Lauren Olter for her first? It's Alana by 500ths of a second.
Mike Kahn, U.S. coach, cheers on. Alana Myers holds on. Something weird happened up there at the start.
Yeah.
She shouldn't have had the 15th best velocity. Maybe that was the clock issue because of the snow.
You can hear her teammates running down the tunnel, yelling their heads off. Hey!
Let her out of the tunnel.
Yeah.
2 for 2 for Alana Myers.
Yes. But by 500s from 2900s up. Wow.
Hi, Nico. Hi,
Nico.
So 3,500s ahead when she sat down, 500s ahead when she got to the line. It was not, as you said, John, a victory lap.
You know, with that type of lead on this track, you figure just let it fly. But snow is accumulating. Nolta put down some unbelievable run. She came from what, 7th to 2nd? Mark, 6th to 2nd?
Yeah, 6th to 2nd.
Innsbruck. Very easy to get down. Tough to get down fast.
And
Alana,
even tougher to predict the winners.
Brian Scheimer.
Brian Scheimer.
He had a lot of success on this track in his day.
And still is as the coach. Alana Myers-Taylor victorious. Lauren Alter another silver medal. And Bree Walker back in the medals here in Innsbruck. Christina de Bruyne, Cynthia Appiah and Kaylee Humphries rounding out the top half dozen. So what, 4 North American and 1 Antipodean sled in the top 6. Just the single German sled of Lauren Alter there in the top half dozen. It is a very different world, isn't it, from what we're used to, women's monobob. Not always the same names, and some big results for the Chinese drivers as well. Both of them spending good time in the leaders box as they rose up the order. But our second winner of the season is the same as our first. We change it up next week in the Women's Monobob World Series as we head to Altenburg. Will anything change at the top of the tree? We have only one way of finding out. We're going to have to wait a week until then. For now, though, Alana Myers-Taylor is 2 for 2 in the Women's Monobob World Series with a second straight victory here in Innsbruck.
Congratulations, Alana.
There is your happy winner, proud mom, and race winner Alana Myers-Taylor. And that's it for Women's Monobob for another week. 2-man bobsleigh comes up this afternoon here in Innsbruck, 14:30 local, 13:30 GMT, and that is 08:30 Eastern. We will see you then from the IBSF TV crew. For John Morgan, I'm Martin Haven, trying to get my words out and saying thank you for joining us. We'll see you then. Bye for now.
To go. Margot.